Please turn to page 241 for Stage 6, Opinion Writing About a Text. And just as a reminder, when we're writing an opinion about a text, that means that the students will read a text, meaning they will read information, a story, a poem, any type of text, and after they finish reading it, they will then have an opinion about that specific text. And when they have an opinion about it, they will say what they think or how they feel about that text or something in the text that they read. Because my program relies on my stages of writing in which specific skills are taught to students at each stage, so that when you go to the next stage, you are actually building new skills on what has previously been learned. I think it's very important for us to look at what you learned in stage 5, and now as we go to stage 6, what new skills you're going to build on what was learned in stage 5. Please grab a piece of paper so that I can show you the similarities and the differences between stage 5 and 6 of opinion writing about a text. On your piece of paper, please mark a T-graph with the numbers 5 and 6 for each stage. In stage 5, that is one paragraph. In stage 6, you could have one paragraph, or it could be 3 paragraphs. It really depends on how much the student is going to be writing for each part of their opinion. In stage 5 and 6, we will have different organizers. The stage 5 organizer is vertical. The stage 6 organizer is horizontal. There's a major shift because you were going from that one paragraph, and ultimately at stage 6, you want the students to be at that 3 paragraph level. Both stage 5 and 6 will always have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion, but let's go to the introduction in stage 5. In stage 5, your introduction will be that top box. What will you have in that introduction? You are going to, first of all, because it's a text, you have to be polite. You need to say the author, and you need to give the reader the title so they know what you're talking about. Then you will give your opinion. Let's jump over to stage 6. The introduction for stage 6 will be in a top box on that horizontal organizer. This time, though, we're going to put a QS there for something called a quick summary. That means that we not only need to say the author, the title, but we also need to give a brief summary of what the story is about. When I say a brief summary, what I mean by that is who's the main character and basically what is the story about? What's the basic plot of the story? So notice we're increasing how much we need to tell our reader when we start our paper. Author and title in stage 5. We are continuing with an author and title in stage 6, but then building on a summary. Once we finish that quick summary at the stage 6 in that introduction, then I'll put an O there with a circle for our opinion. We will have our opinion. Here's our introduction. Let me put an I here. Our introduction for stage 5, introduction for stage 6. Once we have our introduction, where are we heading? Our body. In the body of stage 5, we're going to put 1, 2, 3 boxes, and those boxes are going to be reasons. So we have reason 1, reason 2, and reason 3. These reasons are actually all called details. And what are those reason details doing? They are going back up and giving reasons for your opinion. In stage 6, I'm going to put a line at the bottom of this organizer with 2 lines in the middle. So I have the middle section has 3 boxes. These 3 boxes are going to have reason 1, reason 2, reason 3. How are we building on these reasons though in stage 6? We're always adding and building on what we're learning as we go up each stage. In stage 6, when we have our reasons, we not only give our reasons, but we're going to expand our reasons. And when we expand our reasons by telling more about the reason, telling why, how, when, where, or, and I should say, and or, we can react to the reason. And that means that you, the writer, will say what you think, how you feel, or what you would do according to that reason. So we have a expand the reason and or react to your reason. Let's go back to stage 5. These 3 boxes were for the body, and the middle here was for the body for stage 6. So again, we are always building. They know introduction, body, conclusion, but what you keep adding in each will increase the sophistication of your children's writing and their skills and match their Common Core state standards as they go up each level. So we have our introduction body for each one of our stages. Let's finish up the similarities and differences with the conclusion. Down on the bottom, we have our conclusion here. We're going to repeat the opinion, but of course using different words, also ending with a snappy ending. This snappy ending is just you, the writer, are giving a reflection of, after reading this book, this is how you should feel or what you may want to do from reading this text. Let's go to the conclusion for our stage 6. We're going to repeat the opinion. We've learned that in stage 5, repeat the opinion using different words. We also will have a snappy ending here. We'll have several different snappy endings from which you can choose to complete your paper. That could be a reflection, a connection, or a recommendation. We have our conclusion. At stage 5, repeat the opinion. Stage 6, repeat the opinion. Conclusion at stage 5, snappy ending. It's a reflection. You're reflecting about the book after you finish reading it. Stage 6 has the reflection, but we're also, from our choices of how to end the paper, a connection or a recommendation. As we end our similarities and differences, stage 5 organizer will be 1 paragraph. Stage 6, when you're first writing at a stage 6, it could be 1 paragraph. But the more you expand and the more you react, the longer your quick summary is, the longer your snappy ending is. Then what you would do is your introduction will end up becoming 1 paragraph. The information in the middle of your organizer will be paragraph number 2. And the conclusion with the repeating the opinion and snappy ending would be paragraph number 3. I have shown you the similarities of stage 5 to stage 6 so that you can see how important it is for your students to learn the skills at stage 5. So when we go to stage 6, you truly do have just a few teaching points that you are building on what they have mastered and learned at stage 5. That's what's critical about my program. Everything builds. So when you finish a stage and you move to the next, you know what to focus on and you know what your students need to learn so that they can continue to the next stage. Next, let's walk through the different pages and tools for stage 6 before we begin a lesson. The first page in stage 6 opinion writing about a text is on 241. On the top of the page, you will see a checklist. This checklist is for you to utilize after your students finish writing their opinion paper at stage 6. You can go back and use this to analyze their papers for their content and organization. Do they have all the elements necessary for stage 6, and are they organized in a cohesive and coherent manner? You will also have a checklist for sentences at stage 6. What do students need to have in place when it comes to their sentences? And you have your checklist here to utilize as you're analyzing their papers. And finally, for mechanics, what mechanics should your students have in place in their writing at a stage 6 level? Below here, you will see a sample organizer completely filled in and student writing. This student writing is the final revised piece of writing from which they have written their opinion using this organizer. This checklist, which is aligned to your Common Core state standards, is highly suggested to analyze your students' work so that you not only can figure out what strengths and weaknesses they have in order to determine what you need to teach them, it also is going to help you understand where their achievement levels are according to the standards. Before I leave this page, notice a duplicated copy of the organizer for Stage 6. When you first introduce Stage 6 lessons to your students, you may want to give them copies of this organizer so that they can fill it in, focusing on the parts that they need to learn for Stage 6 writing. Once they get those parts down and they understand what elements need to be in place, I highly suggest you no longer give them a duplicated organizer. Instead, you should give them a blank piece of paper, and from that blank piece of paper, they will draw 4 lines, 1 on the top, 1 on the bottom, and 2 in the middle. So they have their introduction, the body with the 3 boxes, and the conclusion with the bottom box below. This way you don't need to duplicate paper, and your students are independently creating their own organizer. And that's really the goal. We don't want students depending on their teacher giving them an organizer. Instead, we want children to have the control and the ability to independently make their own organizer, plan their own opinions, and write their own opinions. That's our goal through this process. You can recall from Stage 5 that I suggested you create a file folder holding your charts and your tools so that you can easily access them during the lesson. I will now walk you through the page numbers and the file folder for the Stage 6 opinion writing. First, on the cover of your opinion writing at Stage 6, you will need your chant. Remember, we will always introduce our lesson with a chant, so you want to have that on the cover of your file folder. On page 243, you will find the chant. Duplicate that chart, put it on the cover of your file folder. When you are introducing your lesson, you could hold this in your hand and show it to the students, or just put it under your document viewer so they can see this chant on the screen. Inside the file folder are the steps, organizers, and the opinion writing tools. Let's go to the pages for the tools first, and then I'll show you where the organizers and steps are. To create your opinion writing tool book, please duplicate pages 257 to 271. Duplicate them back to back and staple them together. When you duplicate them back to back and staple them together, you can easily open up the different pages, put these underneath your document viewer so your students can see the different tools that you can use to help support opinion writings at Stage 6. Let's walk through those pages quickly. On page 257 is your cover. On page 258 is a template your students can use to write a quick summary about a text they've read. On the next page, page 259, this is the introduction when they're writing a topic, where they'll have a hook and provide background for that topic. On page 260 is a template you can use to form your opinions. On page 261 is a template for opinions focused on character traits. On page 262 are smooth transitions specifically for just the reasons in your paper. On page 263 are transitions, but these transitions are for the entire paper. We have transitions for our opinion in the introduction. We have our reasons, which would be in the body, and also transitions for the conclusion. Notice the difference between those two transition papers. One was just for the body, the reasons in the paper, while on this page, we have transitions for all the different parts of your opinion. On page 264, this page is to help students write their reasons to support their opinion. This paper is walking you through the metacognitive thinking to form your reason sentences and expand your reason sentences. We're going to use this page to help us write reasons about the opinion. So we have our opinion up here. The Pilgrims had difficult lives. We want to form our reason sentence in step 1. First thing we do is we need to come up with the subject. We need to begin our reason by naming who or what is the reason about. So this reason is about the pilgrims. Notice we use the word they because we don't want to keep saying the same word over and over again. So for our subject, we replaced pilgrims with a pronoun, they. We went over to the second half of the sentence to form our reason, and that is, tell the reason that backs up your opinion. Tell the reason that backs up why they had difficult lives. They cleared rocks and trees. That was our prompt that we use to help students take their idea, their reason, and form it into a sentence. Who or what is your reason about? Then tell the reason to back up your opinion. Next, you need to expand your reasons. That means that after we say they need to clear rocks and trees, our reason, let's expand. Let's tell more. What else can I tell you about this reason? Why did they have to clear the rocks? How, when, where? Those are expanding questions to help add more and create either a longer sentence to expand on that sentence or to create more sentences. They cleared rocks and trees to grow their crops. Or we could react to the reason. We could react saying an emotion, saying how we would feel, what we would do, what we think of this reason. And in this case, the writer is reacting by saying how they would feel if they had to clear all the rocks and trees, by saying, now that's exhausting work. What you want to focus on stage 6 is expanding the reasons, telling what else, why, how, when, where, once you form your reason, or reacting to your reason. On page 265 is this same exact page blank. You can laminate this page so that as you are helping children form their reasons, but most especially expanding on their reasons, you can use this page to write the opinion, the reason, and then go and expand. This is a temporary tool so you can give detailed, intense instruction on how to form a reason and expand. Pages 266 and 267 go together. These are words you could use when you're expanding your reasons. On page 266, if you're telling what else, why, how is something different, giving an example, then you can use some of these words to expand your reason. On page 267, if you're telling when or where, here's some other words you can use to expand your reasons. Page 268 is for our conclusion. Repeat your opinion, but use different words. You have a box here with transitions to start your conclusion. The top 2 lines are for you to write your opinion. So the students would write their opinion. Who or what was their opinion about? Dinosaurs. What was their opinion? We're fascinating creatures. On the bottom line is their conclusion, where they're going to repeat their opinion but use different words. So notice on the bottom line, this is where they're planning. What's another way I could say dinosaurs? Oh, giant lizards. We're fascinating creatures. We're amazing. And from there, they put together, all in all, these giant lizards were amazing. This is another tool in which you can utilize temporarily to show children how they can take their opinion, break it apart in order to form their conclusion. On page 269 is a blank black line master of that conclusion page that you could laminate and fill in when you're presenting these lessons to your students. The final 2 pages of your toolkit are for the snappy ending. On page 270, we have our reflect, connect, and recommend sentence stems. When your students are choosing how to end their paper, if they want to make a reflection, a connection, or a recommendation, they could use a sentence stem to help them start out that snappy ending. On page 271, these are more advanced type of snappy endings, and that is these snappy endings are looking at themes. After I give you this opinion, what ideas about life, society, human nature, or our world should you, the reader, have about this opinion? It's much more advanced. These snappy endings are specifically for text. When you're leaving your reader with your opinion, you could reflect back on the text But when you do that, you could reflect back on a character trait, the impact of the setting, or what theme or moral did this text give you as a reader. We've reviewed your toolkit, gone through the pages. You would put it in your file folder to take out whenever needed. In addition to your toolkit, you have the steps to write an opinion for a text or topic, as well as black line masters of your organizer that you use at Stage 6. The Stage 6 steps to write an opinion are on page 272 so that your students can follow along how to write the introduction, body, and conclusion. On page 273, you will find a black line master for you to duplicate for each student when you're presenting this lesson. Remember, eventually, you don't want to give them this black line master, just have them make their organizer on blank paper. And you also have on page 274 and 275 lined paper that you could duplicate to give to your students when they are writing out their opinions, or just use notebook paper. It's there if you choose to use it. This is your toolkit for Stage 6 opinion writing for writing an opinion about a text or a topic. We're starting our Stage 6 opinion writing about a text. On page 244, you have the steps that we will follow to write our introduction, body, and conclusion. On page 245, you have the blank organizer to fill in as we walk through the steps. In this lesson, I have an organizer already completed. As we go through each step, we will continue turning pages with the next part of the organizer completed. Let's walk through the process I went through in order to get students from a blank organizer to a completed opinion. The text that we used for this opinion was the story Julius, written by Angela Johnson. We have read this story several times. They know the story really well, and we will give an opinion about this story. If this is the first lesson at Stage 6, the students and I will together walk through these steps, forming the same opinion so they can learn how to fill in their organizer and learn the skills at Stage 6. You don't want everybody having different opinions while you're trying to teach how to fill in this organizer. It's too confusing. So together we will do this activity. When your students know the steps, they then can work in partners or independently on their own to write their own opinions. Let's start. They finished reading Julius, and we need to form an opinion. When we form an opinion, first thing we do is we go back and we flip through the pages of the story so that we can quickly summarize what the story was about. We want to have in our head all the different parts of the story so we can see the whole story. Once we flip through the pages and we talk about all the parts of the story, and this should be a 3-minute activity. It should not take long. It should be a very quick flip the pages, what happened, what happened, what happened. Here's Maya with her grandfather, and he sure is strange because he loves having ice in his coffee and living in Alaska during the wintertime. Ooh, he brought her a present. It's a pig in a crate. That's all we're doing. We're flipping the pages and we are saying what is happening on the page as we flip through. Once we do that, then we have taken the entire story and we put it into the front of our brain. We're seeing all the parts of the story. You can't form an opinion unless you're looking at all the parts. So we do a quick flip through looking at each page. I'm going to start my lesson by saying, boys and girls, we've reviewed the story. We've looked at everything that happened in the story. Next, we're going to form an opinion about the story Julius. And we all know that an opinion is something that we think or feel about the book we've read. So we've just finished reading this book. What do we think or feel about this book? What do we think or feel about the entire story? A lesson the story told us, about the setting in the story, a character in the story, what happened in the story. We're going to look at either the whole story or some sort of element of the story to have an opinion. When we looked at the entire story, we saw that this story was mostly about Maya and the pig and the things that they did together and what we learned about their relationship at the end. We're going to look at what this story was mostly about so that we can form an opinion about those things. Let's start with our chant. Your chant is on page 243. Boys and girls, we are going to write an opinion. The opinion has an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. In the introduction, be polite, then give your opinion. Body, back it up with reasons to support your opinion. Conclusion, repeat that opinion, but use different words, and end it with a snap. We have all the parts of our opinion in our chant. After you finish chanting that out, immediately go to your organizer. So on page 245, you'll say to the children, boys and girls, what's the first thing we need to have in our opinion? An introduction. Look at that. Our top box here is going to be our introduction. What's in the introduction? Be polite. That's right. So we're going to be polite. And because we have a book that we're going to give an opinion about, being polite means that we are going to give a quick summary. Not the hook and background, that's for a topic. So we're circling, quick summary. After we give a quick summary, be polite because our reader needs to know what we're having an opinion about. So we have to say the author, title, and what the story was about. Then what are we going to give in the introduction? Our opinion. So the top box here is introduction, be polite, give your opinion. Next, we're going to go to the body. What do we have in the body? Reasons to back up that opinion. Notice in our body, we'll transition, reason, and expand. Ooh, turn to your buddy and say, we're going to expand our reasons. We're going to expand our reasons. We're going to tell more in our reasons at stage 6. Finally, at the bottom is the conclusion. For the conclusion, what are we going to do? Repeat the opinion, but use different words. So we have our conclusion here to repeat the opinion. And finally, a snappy ending. Here's our organizer, and our chant helped us identify all the parts. We're going to go to the next page and begin at the introduction, be polite. In the introduction, we have our first step, and that is, in the introduction, be polite. First thing we have to ask, are we writing an opinion about a text or a topic? A text. So what are we going to have? A quick summary. Let's look at our tool that we have in our toolkit. To write our quick summary, what do we need? We need to have our author, we need to have the title of the book, and then we need to tell what the book is mostly about. Here's our little template we can use to do that. Who's our author? Angela Johnson. Title, Julius. So we go up to our organizer, we look at our template and we say, Angela Johnson wrote Julius. What do I need to do with Angela Johnson? Capitalize her first name and her last name, proper nouns. What do I need to do with the title? Capitalize the first word and all the important words in the title. So we only have one word, so we need to capitalize that. It's a name and the first word, and it's important, Julius. Let's go back to our organizer and let's write the author wrote Julius. So we do that. Angela Johnson wrote Julius. Let's look at the next part of our template. This book is about. And these two lines are where we're going to give a quick summary of the book. I'm not summarizing the whole story. I'm telling you the gist of the story. So who is this story mostly about? I could say it's mostly about a pig, or I could say it's mostly about a little girl named Maya. I think we're going to say it's about a little girl named Maya. So we have Maya. This book is mostly about a little girl named Maya. So notice that. That's going to be our character. Next, we have to tell basically what was the main problem or event in the story. So when I want to give a quick summary, first I start off with the character. Who's the main character? Maya. Next, I want to tell you either the event, the main event, or the main problem in the story. Teachers, sometimes this is difficult for kids to do. Sometimes they have a difficult time saying what the story was about. If you say, well, what was the main event or problem in the story? Ask, what does Maya want or need in the story? Those two words will help kids get to what the gist of the story was about. It's an easier method than just saying what was the main event or problem in the story. So my character was Maya. What did she want or need? She needed to figure out how to keep her pig. So we went back and we said, Angela Johnson wrote Julius. This book is mostly about a little girl named Maya who wanted to keep a pig. Excellent. So we would go up here and we would put Maya and then wanted to keep a pig. And we may draw a pig. And that's it. We can put keywords and a picture. At this point, we go back and we rehearse. Angela Johnson wrote Julius. In this story, a little girl named Maya wanted to keep a pig. That's it. Go to the next page. On page 247, we're in the introduction, ready to form our opinion. Once we were giving our quick summary, what's the story mostly about, our reader is ready to hear our opinion, what we think or feel about this story. Below, you have two tools. You could use one tool to say what your advice is. You could say that I'm going to give advice to one of the characters in the story. I think Maya should, or I think the pig should have. I think Maya should have. Or you could give what you believe or a value that you have. I think taking care of a pig is difficult. I think that pig was dirty. Or you could go over and use the character trait board if you're going to give an opinion about a character. We reviewed the entire story. We thought this story focused on Maya and the pig and their relationship. So when we were forming opinion, we said, let's go to the character trait wall. What kind of pig was Julius, or what kind of girl was Maya? So we talked about both characters and we decided we wanted to have an opinion about the pig. And we said, okay, let's look at the pig. What kind of pig was he? And you always want to say that when you have an opinion about a character. To get to their trait, just ask, what kind of, and then you ask who the character is. What kind of pig was Julius? We have different character traits on our page here. We can use one that we see. We have some good traits on the left side, and on the right side, bad traits. We can look at those different traits to give us ideas. You don't have to stick to these. The kids came up with that he was a funny pig. How did we do that? We looked at all the things he did in the story and said, what kind of pig would do these different things? Oh, a funny pig. So now we went back and we wrote, in my opinion, Julius is a funny pig. We have our introduction. Let's go back and read it. Angela Johnson wrote the story Julius. In the story, a little girl named Maya wanted to keep a pig she got for a birthday present. In my opinion, Julius is a funny pig. There's our introduction. Where are we heading next? The body. We have our opinion now, so what do? We all go, we have an opinion. We think that pig Julius is funny. What do we need to do next, everybody, now that we've given our opinion? We can't get away with that. We can't just say what our opinion is. What do we have to do? We have to give reasons to back up our opinion that he was a funny pig. Where do we go to get those reasons? Do we make them up? No. Where do we have to go? Back to the book. Let's flip through the book and find different places where Julius was a funny pig. Every time we find a place, what will we do? We will go to our reason box and draw a picture or write keywords for that reason. We are not going to say the sentence. We are going to go find 1, 2, 3 reasons why he was a funny pig, and we'll draw pictures or keywords. Let's do it. Here's our first reason. This is hilarious. Remember when Julius acted like he was a dog? He's a pig. And he acted like he was a dog, and then he even chased cats. That's funny. Let's draw a picture of Julius acting like a dog and chasing a cat. In our box, we have a picture of Julius acting like a dog. We're not saying a sentence or anything. Here's our next opinion. Here's where Julius snuck into stores with Maya and tried on clothes with her. Let's draw a picture of that because that's pretty funny, a pig trying on clothes and sneaking into stores. So we have Julius trying on a dress, sneaking into the store. This was hilarious. Remember when Julius taught Maya how to dance and he would swirl her around? Almost like in a tornado. Look at that picture. It looks like he's swinging around like a tornado. Let's draw that picture. We have our 3 different reasons why Julius was a funny pig. Down below is the reason tool, how to form a sentence from these pictures. What do? We're going to say the subject, then we're going to say the predicate. We're looking at this picture and we're going to ask that first question. Who or what is this reason about? Julius. I already said Julius twice up here in the introduction. So what other word could I use? Let's use he. Go to the second question you ask to form this sentence. He. Tell the reason. What was he doing here that backs up that he's a funny pig? He acted like a dog. So we have acted like a dog. Again, you don't need to use this tool over and over again. I just use this when we're first starting out making these sentences to show the children. Look what we're doing, boys and girls. We're looking at the picture. Who are we talking about? Julius. What's another way we can say that? He. What reason do you show in this picture that shows he's funny? What was he doing here that shows that he's funny? He acted like a dog. So we have he acted like a dog. We go to our next picture, and you don't need to write this out. You can just say the prompt. Who are we talking about? Julius, this funny pig. Let's say this funny pig. This funny pig, what did he do that was funny in this picture? What reason do you have here to show he was funny? Snuck into stores and dressed up in different clothes. Excellent. Let's go to the last sentence. Who or what are we talking about? Julius. What reason that he was funny? He was dancing and spinning Maya around and around like a tornado. That's pretty funny too. We have formed our sentences. So we've gone back, we have our pictures, and I'm showing children, we're not writing it down. I just did this a couple of times to show them how we make the sentences, but we are only orally rehearsing this. We're saying, here's our picture. What do we do when we look at our picture? That's our reason to back up our opinion. We say, who or what is this about? What's the reason? What's this pig doing that's showing he's funny? We're teaching them the metacognitive steps, what to ask themselves when they look at each reason in order to form a sentence. Next, they go back and they orally rehearse their whole paper with the introduction and the 3 reasons. On page 249, we are still in the body, but at stage 6, we not only give 3 reasons, we want to expand those reasons. We want to give the students strategies to give more, to tell more about their reason. And there's 2 ways to do that. So we are in our body and we're going to expand our reason. In the body here, we had our reasons in the top boxes, and in the bottom, here's some ways we can expand on those reasons. We can tell more about the reasons by telling what else, why, how, when, or where. Or we can expand by reacting to the reason. And whenever we choose any ways to expand, we can also go over to our helper paper with words that can help us to expand on each reason. Let's go to our first reason. Can we expand on this? What was our reason? He acted like a dog. Could I tell you anything else? What else did he do that was funny when he acted like a dog? Why, how, when, where? Or can I react to that? Let's see. Oh, I'll tell you what else he did. He acts like a dog, then he chases cats. That is still funny. A pig acting like a dog and then chasing cats, that's hilarious. So we put our comma and we had what else are we going to tell? I could go to my what else category and I could see, oh, here's the word then. Let's write down then. I'm telling you what else he did. Then he chases cats. So he's acting like a dog, then he chases cats. I didn't put it here, but what if I wanted to react to this? This is when the students would show what they are thinking, what they're feeling, or what they would do. Imagine looking out your window and seeing a pig barking and running down the street. That would be hilarious. So that's a reaction So you have a reaction that you could even put in this box if you want. We didn't do that. We just added more. We expanded and told what else did he do that showed that he was funny in this particular situation. So he acted like a dog, then chased a cat. Let's go to our next reason. Who or what were we talking about? And we said this pig. And then we said, what did he do? He snuck in a store and tried on dresses. Then we went back and said, what kind of dresses did he try on? He tried on big, stretchy blue dresses. Why did he try on big, stretchy blue dresses? What would make that so funny? Because he is so fat. So he's trying on these big, stretchy dresses because he is so fat. Okay, that's hilarious. A big, fat pig trying on dresses, that's pretty funny. So we did that. We expanded on that sentence. Let's go to the last reason. He dances around with Maya by turning her around and around like a tornado. Ooh, we added more. We didn't just say he dances with Maya. He dances with Maya by spinning her around and around looking like a tornado. This one, we did react to that. We said how we would feel. We would start laughing. So we wrote, if I were Maya, I would laugh my head off. We have a reaction there, reacting to that reason. I expanded in all three reasons and I only reacted to one. We go back and we will orally rehearse our paper. Angela Johnson wrote the story Julius. Notice I keep adding and changing around the words. Angela Johnson wrote the story Julius. In this story, a little girl named Maya wants to keep a pig that she got for her birthday present. In my opinion, that pig Julius is very funny. He acts like a dog, then chases cats. This silly pig snuck into a store and tried on stretchy blue dresses because he was so fat. He dances with Maya by spinning her around and around like a tornado. I would laugh my head off if I were Maya. We're going to go to our next page to finish up the body. As we were reading the introduction, the reason, and expanding the reasons, I point out to the students, we need to make all of our reasons smoothly connect together. We need some transitions. Let's take out our transition sheet. How these transitions work is this would be for reason number 1. These are transitions for reason 2, and these are transitions for reason 3. Many times they fit by just going across the boxes this way. So what we did was we looked at the different reasons for reason 1. We chose to start. Then we went to our next reason and we used then. And finally we had in the end for our last one. We put our transitions in there with the commas and we went back and we rehearsed our entire opinion, noticing how more cohesive this paper is sounding when we add those transitions. Let's go back. Angela Johnson wrote the story Julius. In this story, a little girl named Maya wants to keep a pig she got for a birthday present. In my opinion, her pig Julius is funny. To start, he acts like a dog, then chases cats. Then he puts on stretchy blue dresses because he's so fat. In the end, he dances with Maya by spinning her around like a tornado. If I were Maya, I would laugh my head off. We have our introduction and we have the entire body with transitions, reasons, and expanding on those reasons. We are orally rehearsing it. Let's go to the next page so we can plan our conclusion. We're in our conclusion, and what's the first thing we need to do in our conclusion? We need to repeat our opinion, but use different words. We're going to take our opinion. What was our opinion about? Julius is a funny pig. Again, this is a temporary activity where you're writing it out on this tool. You don't need to do this very often. As a matter of fact, you could just have the kids go up to their paper and underline Julius is a funny pig, just like we have in this example. Then go to the bottom of their organizer, draw a line for the subject and a line for the predicate. Go up and say Julius. What's another way we could say Julius? So then we said that pig. Notice we're just putting it on the organizer in this example. So you could either put the 2 lines on your organizer to do this activity or show your tool. We have Julius, that pig, is a funny pig. What do we do down here? What's another way to say is a funny pig? Is hilarious. We have transition words that we can start off those opinions with. All in all, overall, in conclusion, all things considered, to sum up, on the whole, for the reasons presented, therefore I feel, to conclude, I think. How about we say, on the whole, or overall? You can circle that, go back, and the students can write it out. Overall, that pig is hilarious. On page 252, we're going to plan our snappy ending. And for our snappy ending, the children could reflect, connect, or recommend. And these are some sentence stems that they could use depending on what type of snappy ending they want to have. If they have a reflection, that means they're going to go back through their opinion, look at all their reasons, and reflect on them. What do these reasons make you think or feel? If they're going to make a connection, how can you make these reasons matter? Connect them back to the world. Or make a recommendation. What can you, after presenting these reasons, what can you recommend to your reader? And here's some sentence stems. In this particular example, we came up with a recommendation. We looked at our reasons and we said, if you want to tickle your funny bone, then read this story. On page 243, you have the completed organizer. At this point, you would have your students take out their red pen and they would go back and they would mark all their capitals and commas and periods. So we have Angela Johnson wrote the story Julius, period. In my opinion, comma, Julius, capital, is a funny pig. To start, he acts like a dog, then chases a cat. Then he puts on a stretchy blue dress because he's so fat. In the end, he dances by spinning Maya around like a tornado. I would laugh my head off. That pig is, well, we started with overall, comma, that pig is hilarious. If you want to tickle your funny bone, comma, then read this story. We have our capitals, we have our periods, we orally rehearse our paper, and as students have control over their language, they write it down. I have them mark a box, a yellow box, so when they start writing, they indent. With this particular paper, we only had one indentation, one paragraph. Why? Because we were just starting to learn how to write an opinion. We had a very brief, quick summary, opinion. We expanded each one of our reasons, but they were short and simple, many times just one sentence, not two. We had our conclusion and our snappy ending, but we did not have so many sentences for each part that we could break this up into 3 paragraphs. And because we were just starting at stage 6, I kept it in 1. When we go on to the stage 6, writing an opinion about a topic, you'll see that that finished product will actually be 3 paragraphs. I wanted to make sure that you had 2 lessons, one for text and one for a topic, but I wanted to show you how sometimes when you're first starting this out, you may want to start with just 1 paragraph, and as students are using the stage 6 organizer and expanding and writing more, that then this would become 1, 2, 3 paragraphs. But at first, just keep it to 1. They orally rehearse their paper, they have their punctuation in place. When they can say it, they write it down. As they're orally rehearsing their paper, make sure you have them keep talking as they write it down. Pull students who need extra rehearsals, who need language support. They can work with you in a small group before they go writing. As students are writing out their opinion, make sure you're walking around and helping students on the spot. The quicker the feedback that you can give students, the better. And as you're walking around, you will notice maybe someone's missed their period. Maybe someone is missing words in their sentence and it doesn't make sense. Have them go back to their organizer, rehearse it, and then see what they wrote down on their paper. Try to give them feedback as they're writing. These are your 7 steps for a stage 6 opinion about a text, where we have our introduction, body, and conclusion. Please follow these steps so that you can have your students write opinions about stories or information that they've read.